Every day, your attention is under siege, not by swords or armies, but by glowing screens, petty distractions, and endless noise. You want power, achievement, clarity. Yet you drift, you scroll, you scatter. In this video, you will learn how to harness razor-sharp focus like a lion stalking its prey using Machiavellian precision. This is not motivation. This is strategy, ruthless, ancient, and exact. They have lied to you. From the moment you could hold a device in your hand, they told you that multitasking was strength, that scattering your attention across endless tabs, apps, and noises was the mark of a modern mind. That constant stimulation was necessary, even virtuous. But the truth is something much colder, much older. Attention is not something to be scattered. It is to be wielded, like a sword. Look back, not a year, but 500 years. The men who ruled did not do so because they were loud. They did not rise because they followed noise. They rose because they saw clearly when others were blind. They listened when others spoke. They moved only when it was necessary. They did not chase. They waited. This is what you must understand. Attention is not a passive experience. It is the first act of domination. Whoever controls your focus controls you. If your attention is split, then so are your ambitions, your goals, your power. You cannot build an empire with a scattered mind. And make no mistake, if you do not build one, someone else will build theirs on you. A man's attention is like the sun. When diffused, it warms. But when concentrated, it burns through anything. When Machiavelli wrote The Prince, he knew this well. He spoke not only of courts and power, but of discipline. A ruler must master himself before he ever dares command others. His mind must not wander. His judgment must not be pulled by emotion or novelty or noise. He must see clearly, even when surrounded by illusion. And what are you surrounded by now? Distraction is no longer a random occurrence. It has been weaponized. Your attention is prey, and every second, something is hunting it. Not with a blade, but with a screen, a sound, a red dot, a suggestion, a scroll. Your environment is a battlefield. But no one told you the war has begun. And that's exactly how they win. The man who does not know he is under siege is already conquered. You small action. Harmless, you think. But no, it is a signal. You have surrendered. You open 10 tabs. Your thoughts fragment. You jump from one thing to another. You congratulate yourself for being productive. But what have you actually done? Nothing that required depth. Nothing that demanded stillness. You have scratched surfaces. You have chased sparks. But you have built nothing. Real focus, true attention, is rare because it is difficult. It is not natural in this world. It is an act of rebellion. It requires you to say no when everything is screaming yes. It requires silence, not just around you, but inside you. That silence is where ideas live, where strategy lives, where clarity sharpens into power. You think the most intelligent men win, they don't. The most talented? No. It is the men who decide where their attention goes and ruthlessly eliminate everything else. They make choices others are too soft to make. They embrace boredom. They walk away from stimulation. They are alone in thought. But in that solitude, they hear things others miss. If you do not control your attention, someone else will. A marketer, a social feed, a false urgency. They will pull you into their world. A world that benefits them, not you. You will become a pawn in someone else's strategy. Convinced that you are the player. You will confuse motion with progress. But motion without direction is madness. A spinning wheel in mud, impressive to look at. Useless in reality. Understand this: attention is a currency, a finite resource, and you are spending it every second of every day. The question is, what are you buying with it? Comfort, entertainment, empty stimulation? Or are you purchasing mastery, clarity, dominance? A distracted man cannot lead. A distracted man cannot build. A distracted man cannot even see clearly enough to know he is lost. He may feel busy, but business is not power. It is a symptom of disorder, of drift, of defeat. So what must be done? First, accept that the modern world is not neutral. It is not built for your focus. It is built to fragment you, to keep you passive, reactive, shallow. Second, realize that your focus must be defended, like a fortress under constant attack. Your rituals, your environment, your very thoughts must be designed to filter, to strip away what is unnecessary, to train your attention to act as a weapon, not a weakness. The man who holds his attention holds his destiny. He does not react, he acts. He does not consume, he creates. He does not chase, he attracts. He does not drown in noise, he moves in silence. Power does not begin with money. It does not begin with connections. It begins with your ability to direct your own mind. If you cannot do that, you are nothing but a puppet. You do not need more time. You need less distraction. You need fewer voices in your ear, fewer empty cravings, fewer illusions. The most dangerous man is not the one who speaks the loudest, but the one who listens, absorbs, and moves with unwavering precision. While others react, he watches. While others scroll, he builds. While others follow, he chooses. And that choice, every day, every hour, every moment, begins with what you allow to enter your attention. Because whatever enters rules you. You believe your distractions are your own, that you choose to be pulled away. That each scroll, each interruption, each wandering thought is just the way life works now. But let me offer you something colder, something older. The truth, your distractions are not accidental. They are not random. They are engineered, crafted, designed, weaponized by minds more focused than yours to keep you dull, dependent, and disarmed. There is a reason you cannot hold your attention for longer than a few minutes. There is a reason your thoughts constantly fracture. There is a reason you cannot sit in silence without reaching for a device. The reason is this: someone profits from your chaos. Someone profits from your distraction. Not one person, but many. Systems, empires, entire industries built not on production, but on extraction. And what they extract is you. You are the resource, not your money, not your vote, your focus, your time, your psychological energy. If they can seize that, they do not need anything else. Because once they have your attention, they control your perception. And once they control your perception, they shape your choices, not through force, through distraction, through noise, through engineered temptation. You are not choosing what you focus on. You are being herded, led by invisible incentives, nudges, alarms, dopamine triggers. Every like, every ping, every notification. These are not neutral. They are signals, tiny shackles around your will. But here is what separates the prince from the peasant. The prince sees it. He understands that distraction is a tactic, that those in power distract the many so they may operate in silence. He understands that every time the public is stirred by some new scandal, some new trend, some new panic, it is often a veil, a cover, a decoy. Something quieter is happening beneath. The Machiavellian mind does not get caught in the chaos. It watches the chaos from above. It does not participate in the frenzy. It studies the frenzy, like a general mapping the erratic movement of a desperate enemy. But you have allowed yourself to be drawn in, not because you are evil, not because you are weak in character, but because you were never taught how to defend yourself from the most subtle form of attack, seduction. Distraction is seductive. It promises comfort, entertainment, novelty, but what it delivers is decay. Decay of discipline, decay of thought, decay of sovereignty. The distracted man is not just wasting time. He is surrendering territory, mental territory, strategic ground, once lost, not easily regained. You think you can dip into distraction, then return to focus. But that's not how the mind works. Every interruption leaves residue. Every scroll leaves a trace. Your ability to think deeply is being eroded in small, invisible ways. It does not matter how intelligent you are. It does not matter how much potential you have. If your mind is being constantly pulled, fractured, provoked, you are not dangerous. You are predictable. And predictable men are never powerful. Let us be clear. A man who is easily distracted is a man who is easily ruled. He does not choose. He reacts. He does not plan. He responds. He does not think. He obeys. And when the time comes to make hard decisions, when the moment arrives that demands clarity and sharpness, he is absent, dazed, overwhelmed, confused. That is not you. Not anymore. There is a kind of focus that is terrifying to those who cannot control it. A cold, silent, penetrating attention. A gaze that sees through noise. A mind that doesn't flinch. The systems that profit from your weakness fear this kind of mind. They cannot manipulate it. They cannot monetize it. They cannot predict it. So they do everything possible to prevent you from becoming that mind. They surround you with infinite options. Infinite tabs, infinite opinions, not to empower you, but to paralyze you. When a man cannot focus, he cannot choose. When he cannot choose, he cannot act. When he cannot act, he is no threat, and that is the goal, to keep you harmless. Distracted, not because of your own design, but because of theirs. You want to reclaim your power. Then reclaim your attention, not with motivation, not with apps, but with ruthless awareness, with a clear recognition that every distraction is a test, every interruption is a trap, every urge to divert your focus is a signal, and you must train yourself to respond not with indulgence, but with awareness. Why do you reach for your phone when you feel discomfort? Who benefits from that moment of weakness? Why do you check things that do not serve you? Who is shaping your behavior? What are you becoming? A Machiavellian does not tolerate ambiguity in his intentions. He does not allow others to dictate where his energy flows. He decides. Every action deliberate, every moment accounted for. You cannot build anything meaningful. A business, a legacy, a transformation. If your attention is leased out to the lowest bidder, you must pull it back. Guard it like a tyrant guarding a treasure, like a lion protecting his silence. Because in the silence is clarity, and in clarity is danger. Not to you, but to those who depend on your distraction, those who feed off your divided mind, those who want you entertained, not awakened. They want you busy, not focused, active, but aimless, surrounded, but empty. They want your life to pass in notifications, in loops, in shallow pleasure, in imitation. Because as long as you're distracted, you're not thinking. You're not strategizing. You're not seeing through them. You're not watching them. You're not becoming sovereign. And that is the last thing they want. Not with armies, not with swords, but with impulses, temptation, endless stimuli clawing at the gates of your concentration. The modern world does not care whether you succeed. It only demands that you remain available, reachable, responsive, distracted. The battlefield has changed, but the principle has not. You do not win power in chaos. You win it by building walls, psychological walls, strategic walls, daily rituals that guard your attention like a fortress guards a throne. A prince does not leave his palace exposed. He does not open his gates to the crowd every hour. He does not allow the noise of the street to echo through his chambers. And yet, this is exactly what you do. From the moment you wake, your gates are wide open. The world floods in before your mind has even gathered itself. You reach for your phone before you've spoken a word aloud. You check for messages, alerts, opinions, before you've asked yourself a single question. Your attention given away before you've even stood up. This is not just a mistake. It is an act of self-sabotage. A prince would never hand over the keys to his kingdom. Why would you? You must learn to begin the day not with noise, but with silence, with intention. The morning hours are your stronghold, the most sacred time of your day, and you've been giving them away like scraps. Reclaim them. In those hours when the world is still, you must think, plan, reflect, act. Not react, act. There is a difference. One leads to control, the other to slavery. You must rise with strategy, not with chaos, not with randomness. Discipline is not boring. It is not rigid. It is the invisible architecture of power. What you do repeatedly becomes what you become permanently. Rituals are not habits. Habits are accidental. Rituals are sacred, designed. Rituals are a statement. This hour is mine. This silence is mine. This moment will not be stolen. Even kings meditate before battle. Why? Because a still mind sees clearly. A still mind calculates. A still mind makes fewer mistakes. But your mind is constantly reacting, drowning in stimulation. That's not your fault, at least not originally. But it is your responsibility now. If you want to rule your time, you must first rule your day. If you want to rule your day, you must first rule your mornings. That rule begins with removal. Strip away the unnecessary, the opinions, the distractions, the poison. Simplify your life not for comfort, but for clarity. There is nothing noble about complexity. There is no honor in being busy. 1,000 tasks mean nothing if they are misaligned. Business is what the weak call productivity. But the focused man, the dangerous man, is not busy. He is precise. He knows when he will work. He knows when he will disappear. He knows when he will allow the world in, and when he will close the gates. You must become that man. You must decide when you are accessible and when you are untouchable. You must treat your focus like royalty. Allow it to be seen only by those who have earned it. Not every problem is your concern. Not every call deserves an answer. Not every piece of information deserves your mind. Most of what you consume is noise. Most of what you allow into your head does not serve you. It pollutes. It clouds. It distracts. And so you must cleanse. Not once, but daily. Your rituals are not about feeling better. They are about returning to yourself, to your purpose, to your clarity. The repetition of structure sharpens the mind, the way a whetstone sharpens a blade. You do not rise for the world. You rise to prepare for the world. A prince does not greet his subjects without first preparing his garments, his crown, his speech. So why do you throw yourself into the crowd before preparing your thoughts, your energy, your posture? That is not strategy. That is surrender. And power is never granted to the one who surrenders. You do not need a perfect plan. You need a predictable structure. A sacred window of time, unbreakable, uncompromising, untouched by noise. A place where your focus can be reborn daily. Whether it is 1 hour or 4, that is your fortress, your most guarded hour. No entry, no distraction, no deviation. You think you can focus amidst the chaos. You cannot. No one can. Not even the most powerful men in history tried. They built walls, psychological walls, rituals that guided their energy like a canal channels water. Power is never accidental. It is always directed, with precision, with care, with repetition. Let others chase novelty. You chase depth. Let others wake to noise. You wake to silence. Let others scatter. You build, quietly, methodically. Like a strategist in a war room, you map your hours. You command your energy. You decide what enters and what is exiled. Your day does not belong to the world. It belongs to you. Your time is not a commodity. It is a weapon, and rituals are how you wield it. The man without rituals is a slave to randomness. He is pulled by others, pushed by circumstances, ruled by impulse. But the man with rituals is calm, centered, ruthless. He does not wonder what to do next. He knows. He does not ask the world what it wants. He tells it what he's already chosen. This is how power begins. In the invisible hours, in the quiet acts of structure, in the sacred practice of saying no, not once but daily. Because to say yes to your focus, your vision, your higher self is to say no to everything else. You want clarity. You want control. You want deep, unshakable focus. Then understand this first. You will not achieve it through addition. You will only achieve it through subtraction. You have been taught the wrong way. That more is better. That you must add more tools, more hacks, more books, more techniques, more inputs. But Machiavelli knew what most never learn. That power is not in what you collect. It is in what you discard, what you are willing to cut. Focus is not about managing distraction. It is about eliminating it, coldly, permanently, without apology. You cannot hold a sharp sword with trembling hands. You cannot build a legacy if you are burdened by clutter. And you cannot rise if you are surrounded by the unnecessary, the digital, the emotional, the human, and even the self-inflicted noise that pollutes your clarity. There is no room for softness here. Not if you are serious. Not if you are ready to rise above the sea of broken attention and become something dangerous. If your focus is weak, it is because your standards are low. You tolerate too much. You excuse too much. You keep too much. Too many open tabs. Too many meaningless conversations. Too many just-in-case commitments. And in all this noise, your sharpness is dulled. You become vague. You drift. You don't need more time. You need to remove what's wasting it. You don't need more energy. You need to stop bleeding it. Every person, habit, and behavior in your life is either sharpening you or softening you. There is no neutral. And every day you avoid the truth. Every day you keep the unnecessary alive. You delay your own becoming. This is where cold-blooded elimination begins. Not with rage, not with burnout, but with calm precision. A prince does not rage against what drains him. He removes it, silently, strategically. He cuts not with emotion, but with intent, not to hurt, but to win. Ask yourself, brutally and honestly, what in your life no longer serves your focus? What habits have outlived their purpose? What people are holding on to you, not because they build you, but because you're familiar, easy, compliant? Who have you kept close simply because you're afraid of the silence that would follow if they left? You already know what must be done. The only question is whether you are willing to pay the price of clarity. Because yes, it costs something. Simplicity always costs more than chaos. Discipline always costs more than indulgence. Solitude always costs more than company. But you are not here for comfort. You are here to conquer yourself. Begin with the small, your digital environment. You say you want to focus, yet your phone is littered with distractions. You say you want silence, yet you consume noise the moment you wake. Every app you keep, every website you check out of habit, every account you follow that triggers comparison or confusion. They are enemies hiding inside your walls. They are spies dressed as entertainment. Remove them. Unfollow, delete, uninstall, cut. Next, your rituals, the routines that you repeat not because they sharpen you, but because you're too lazy to redesign them. The way you wake up, the way you eat, the way you wind down. Are they serving your vision or sedating your discomfort? You know the answer. Stop pretending you don't. Then, your commitments. Your calendar is a confession. Every yes you give is a no to your future. You fill your time with obligations that mean nothing to you. Meetings you didn't schedule. Events you don't need. Promises you made to preserve comfort instead of purpose. With grace? Yes. But with finality. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be clear. And finally, the most brutal elimination of all. The one that cuts deeper than the rest. People. Not with hate, but with resolve. Some of them are holding you where you used to be, not because they are evil, but because your growth threatens their comfort. They will not say it. They may even smile. But deep down, they want the version of you that was easy to manage, predictable, familiar. They want you to stay scattered, because your focus forces them to confront their own drift. You do not need enemies. You need distance. Not everyone deserves access to your mental real estate, just as a king does not open his gates to every traveler. You must become fiercely selective about who gets proximity to your mind. Love some from afar. Leave others behind entirely. And when you do not explain. Do not defend. The man who knows what he's building has no need to justify the materials he discards. This is what true focus demands, the willingness to walk alone, to let go, to shed, and yes, to lose, because you will lose something. That's the nature of elimination. But what you gain is precision, stillness, direction, strength. You gain time that is no longer stolen, energy that is no longer drained, vision that is no longer fogged by the irrelevant. Power is not loud. Power is clean, focused, undistracted. And to have it, you must first destroy anything that pollutes it. Even if it once comforted you, even if it once felt good, even if part of you still wants to hold on, you are not that man anymore. You are not here to please. You are here to build. And builders do not cling to dead weight. They do not negotiate with distraction. They do not argue with decay. They remove it. Quietly, efficiently, permanently. You have been told that focus is a matter of willpower, that if you simply try harder, you will succeed, that if you just resist distraction long enough, you will break through. But this is a child's understanding, a lie dressed as encouragement. The truth is far more brutal and far more liberating. Focus is not a feeling. It is not a mood. It is a system, a weapon. A ruthless discipline carved through subtraction, silence, structure, and sacrifice. It is built, deliberately, by the man who sees the war around him and decides he will no longer be ruled. Your attention is your throne. Your rituals are your fortress. Your elimination is your sword. And the cold awareness of distraction, that is your armor. Now, you know what others deny. You are not distracted by accident. You are being attacked, and now you are no longer unarmed. You rise before the noise. You act before the world pulls you. You remove what does not serve. You eliminate weakness at the root. You are no longer available to everyone, no longer open to everything. You are precise. You are disciplined. You are dangerous. This world does not reward the scattered. It rewards the strategic. And you, from this moment forward, do not chase clarity. You create it. Let the others scroll. Let the others react. Let the others waste. You will build in silence. You will guard your time like a tyrant. You will walk with the focus of a prince, unseen, untouchable, unmoved. Because now, you understand the law. The man who masters his attention masters everything.